Hey everyone, this is Jono from Veracity with another video in my video series. This one is going to include some examples of parent context activities. It's sort of a follow-on from last week's video where we did some reporting that allowed you to show all the data in a particular course. And I mentioned in that video that it relies on context activities, specifically parent context activities. So I've had a few videos that touch on this subject in one way or another, and I'll include those in the description so you have those for reference as well. So this is really a spec definition. Parent context activity is an activity with a direct relation to the activity, which is the object of a statement. In almost all cases, there's only one sensible parent or none, not multiple. For example, a statement about a quiz, or about a quiz question on a quiz, would have the quiz as its parent activity. So yeah, that makes sense. There's questions on a quiz, so questions have a parent that is the quiz. So let's look at a couple graphics on the next few slides. So this was on the title card where we've got a course. It has 2 lessons. The first lesson has 2 pages. The second lesson has a video and an assessment. So let's say we want to focus on a page. So we're going to get an xAPI statement about this page. So in that definition, where the object of the statement is this page. So maybe I viewed the page, for example. So a statement about the page could be something like Jane Doe viewed the page. In this case, our page has the lesson as a context activity, a parent context activity. So that's just one part of this chain. So let me get a highlighter. There we go. So what we showed is if you're talking about this, if you're going to view this page in your xAPI statement about this page, you would have a context activity parent that is this lesson. If on the other hand, you're talking about this lesson. So maybe Jane Doe completed, the second lesson. The statement about the lesson in this case would have the course as its parent context activity. So you can see the way this works in xAPI is when you're talking about a thing like the video tells you who its parent is. It's not the other way around. It is not when I get data about the course, I pass the course has 2 lessons. It doesn't go that way. The big Ghostbuster, no symbol. So yeah, you go up the chain basically. When you're talking about things like the lesson, then it has a context activity parent that is the thing above it. Now, I will say that there's a complication, and I'll put the video about this in this description. Sometimes you get data about a page. For example, this is an example. Sometimes you get data about a page. I viewed the page, and the page has a lesson parent. And then other times you get data about the course. You pass the course. Doesn't have a parent in this case. It's at the top level. But you never get data about a lesson. They're just an organization construct. They're the parents of these things, but they are never themselves the object of the statement. There's no problem with that. In the Veracity LRS, we make heavy use of parent context activities. So if that's the case, when you have non-communicating activities, or when you just don't get data about a particular activity, we have a way to handle that a best practice. So check out that video as well. All right, so let's just show you a couple examples. People always ask, well, what does this look like, in the real world? And first some diagrams, and then I'll show you maybe just one or 2 little examples in an LRS. So for an e-learning course, what we very typically see is that you've got, a course. The course inside it has lessons. The lessons have pages or maybe assessments. And then, a page could have a video or a checklist or other stuff. An assessment typically has questions, or really in xAPI world, these things are usually called CMI interactions. So the way that this is represented is when you are just like the last example, when you're tracking data about the video, your user played the video has a page as its parent context activity. When you get a statement about the page, the user is viewing the page, it has the lesson as the parent context activity. When you get data about the lesson, in other words, the user, completed the lesson, then it has the course as the parent context activity. So you can see how you build this chain. It's very similar over on this side. So you've got a question, the user answered the question with choice B and it was correct. In this case, it has the assessment as the parent context activity. When you get data about the assessment, the user passed the assessment, for example, that has the lesson as a parent context activity. And then when you get a statement about the lesson, the user completed the lesson, it has the course. So you get the idea. You're basically building from bottom up this structure using parent context activities. Let's look at a different one. It's a little bit more simple, actually. We often have standalone assessments. Those assessments have questions. You could have another level of nesting here, but in general, we typically see this, where you've got one assessment and all of these questions. The user answered question 1 with choice A. It has assessment as the parent. User answered question 2 as false, and it was incorrect, has the assessment. Same on all of these, and essentially you end up building the entire assessment structure by specifying all those things. One last one, maybe a bit less common, but an application. So in this case, a performance support application, and these can get quite a bit more complex than this. But for now, so you've got a menu in my maybe mobile app. When I click on a menu item, it has the menu as a parent. If I, do something with the menu, it has the application as the parent. Checklist item. So like maybe I've got a big checklist that I have to go and check off things. When I check off this item, it has the checklist as a parent. When I check off this item, it has the checklist as a parent. And then maybe there's a procedure you're following that has several steps. When you perform this step, it has this procedure as the parent, and same for these other steps. Then, for example, just like the other ones, when you complete the procedure, it has the application as the parent. So, what can you do with this? Check out the video from last week, but in general, we're able to do things like show me everything that happened in the application. Show me all the menu items that were selected in this menu. Show me the checklist items that were checked. Show me all of the steps that were completed in this procedure. So it gives you the ability when you are listing these things as parents, you're creating this link. So you're able to do a query at this level or up at this level and know what happens down below. So that link is very important for that kind of stuff. And again, in the Veracity LRS, we make heavy use of parents in the UI and in the graphing tools and in the statement viewer. So it's really important for a lot of reasons in our system. Okay, let's just show a quick example. I've got an LRS open here to the statement viewer. I've got some just sample data. This is very similar to the sample data. If you click our generate sample data button, you'll get something that looks like this. And I'm just going to pick something random. Let's do the machine learning lesson. I'm going to open this up. You can see it's some user, Keti Tania. They're terminating, they're kind of finishing this machine learning lesson. It has this type of ID, and it turns out we can tell it's type lesson. So the thing they completed is a lesson. If I go down and open context, and I look here at the parent context activity, it has the machine learning course. So just like that example we were showing, we are tracking data about a lesson, the user finishing or terminating a lesson. But that lesson is part of this machine learning course. So that allows us to do things like, for our user Tanya, show us all the lessons that they completed in the machine learning course. Let's look at one more. We're just going to pick a random one again. I don't know. How about progressing through regression models? So we've got Bell here as our actor. They're progressing as the verb. They're going through this thing that is JHU Data Science is the URL /7. It's a lesson called regression models. So again, it's a person interacting with progressing through regression models, which is a lesson. And if I scroll down here, parent context activity is the data science course. It has this ID for the course, but we can see it's a type course. So very similar. I don't have an example of like an application. Maybe have some assessments in here I'll show in another video, but you get the idea. This is actual data, samples of actual data that really show you what it looks like in the real world instead of the graphs that I was just showing. All right, I think we're going to call it there for today. If you like this video, click thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks for watching and have a good one.